In 1867, the United States bought a massive territory for just $7.2 million. The land was Alaska. At the time, many Americans thought it was a terrible mistake. Newspapers mocked the purchase and called it Seward's Folly, or even Seward's icebox. Why would anyone spend millions of dollars on a frozen wilderness? But history would prove them completely wrong. Today, Alaska is one of the most valuable regions in the world, rich in oil, natural gas, gold, and incredible natural resources. So why did Russia sell Alaska in the first place? And how did one of history's most criticized land deals become one of America's greatest investments?
Long before Alaska became part of the United States, it belonged to the Russian Empire. Russian explorers first reached Alaska during the 18th century, searching for new lands and valuable resources. What they found was an abundance of sea otters, whose fur was considered one of the most valuable in the world. Soon, Russian traders established small settlements and trading posts along Alaska's coastline. For decades, the fur trade brought enormous profits to Russia. But maintaining such a distant colony was never easy. Alaska was thousands of kilometers away from Moscow, making supplies, communication, and defense extremely difficult.
By the middle of the 19th century, Alaska had become more of a burden than a valuable colony. The fur trade was declining, and profits were falling every year. Russia also faced serious financial problems after the costly Crimean War, which ended in 1856. Keeping soldiers, supplies, and ships in such a distant territory was becoming increasingly expensive. At the same time, Russia feared that if another war broke out with Britain, Alaska could easily be captured by British forces from neighboring Canada. Rather than losing the territory for nothing, Russian leaders decided it would be smarter to sell Alaska while they still had the chance. The United States quickly became the most interested buyer. Negotiations between Russia and the United States began in the 1860s. America's Secretary of State, William H. Seward, believed Alaska would become extremely valuable in the future. On March 30th, 1867, the two countries signed the agreement. The United States agreed to pay $7.2 million for the entire territory. That worked out to only about 2 cents per acre. It was one of the largest land purchases in American history. At the time, many people couldn't understand why the government would spend millions on what looked like a frozen wilderness. Very few realized how important Alaska would eventually become. After the purchase was announced, newspapers across the country mocked the deal. Critics called it Seward's Folly and Seward's icebox. Many believed the United States had wasted millions of dollars on snow, ice, and mountains. But only a few decades later, everything changed. Gold was discovered in Alaska, attracting thousands of prospectors during the famous Klondike Gold Rush. Later, enormous reserves of oil and natural gas were found beneath Alaska's land. The territory that once seemed worthless suddenly became one of America's greatest economic and strategic assets. Today, Alaska is the largest state in the United States by land area. It contains vast forests, towering mountains, rich fisheries, and some of the world's largest oil reserves. Its location also makes it strategically important because it lies close to Russia and the Arctic. Alaska plays a major role in American energy production, national defense, and scientific research. Looking back, the purchase that many people laughed at became one of the smartest investments in American history. Sometimes, history rewards those who can see opportunities that others cannot. Russia sold Alaska because it was expensive to defend, difficult to manage, and vulnerable to British attack. The United States bought it because its leaders believed the territory would become valuable in the future. History proved that decision right. What once looked like a frozen wasteland became one of the most important regions in North America. And that's why the Alaska Purchase remains one of the greatest land deals in history.